My own situation is a rather disconcertingly unique one also. Once again, it's not a question of silver bullets. I suppose, in my case, what most began to work away at the foundations of liberalism was traveling in West Africa. And as I look back on my own experience, one of the real channel markers in this real change in view was when I was hitchhiking from the Ivory Coast to Liberia. Now, the Ivory Coast at the time was run very efficiently by the French. It was an independent country, but every government minister and every government sub-minister and sub-sub-minister had a Frenchman in his office who was called the French homologue. And he was there not to give orders, but to give advice. And they gave good advice generally. At the time, the Ivory Coast was even known as the Japan of West Africa because it was doing so well. And as I say, I was hitchhiking across the border, and I'd been going along roads that were well looked after. There were fields of bananas, fields of coconut palms, fields of and buildings, all in excellent repair. As soon as I crossed the border into Liberia, my gosh, it was like a step into the Stone Age. All of a sudden, instead of going 50, 60 miles an hour, you had to go 15 miles an hour to drive your way around the crevasses in the road, and every building looked clapped out and ill looked after. And by the time I got to Monrovia, the capital of Liberia, I was just shocked by the stark difference between these two countries. And I went to the University of Monrovia, and I struck up a conversation with a bright young lad, and I asked him, well, I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but I came from Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast is just miles ahead of your country. What's the reason for this? He says, well, that's obvious. We didn't have the benefit of being colonized by the French. Well, now, it's all very well for me to tell you this story, and it's all very well for people who are racial liberals to hear this story, but somehow to have seen what I saw, given my state of mind at that time, and to be told what I was told, it had a dramatic impact on me. It's very, very difficult to reproduce these individual bits of drama. But to the extent that we can, we have to come up with arguments, we have to come up with experiences that do open people's minds. But that, in my case, I would suspect that if I were to describe one incident in my liberalism that helped end this liberalism, that was it.
Well, if I can briefly pursue this, though, what got you on the wrong side of the track in the first place? Because there's some people of our acquaintance here who were born on the right side of the track, so to speak, and others of us got converted one way or another.
I think what starts people into liberalism is just the fact that it's orthodoxy. We all grow up believing what we're told by our parents. That's a perfectly normal state of mind. And in the United States, I went to college in 1968. At that time, liberalism, one became a liberal just by breathing the air. There was no, I should say again that there's yet another channel marker, if I may call it that I remember as an undergraduate. Arthur Jensen was supposed to speak at our campus. And I, of course, like everyone else, thought Arthur Jensen was a wicked, swinish racist. But as it turned out, the Black Student Union, in cooperation with the Students for a Democratic Society, put on this whooping demonstration and threatened violence, and Arthur Jensen's talk was canceled. I had planned to go. I had planned to object, and, I wasn't going to make noise, but I was just prepared to find him wrong on every count. But I remember thinking at the time, this just isn't right. This guy may be completely wrong, but to have shut him down, there's something fishy here. But that wasn't enough. It was just a constant accumulation of little things like that. But no, people start off liberal because everybody's liberal, basically. We're a conforming species. We all want to be running with the same pack. And that's why I think most people are liberal. If the prevailing ethos in the United States were that of the 1930s, most people would not be racial liberals because most people generally do what everybody else does. That is why overthrowing the orthodoxy is so difficult, no matter how wrong that orthodoxy, because most people are essentially inert as far as these questions are concerned. They'll do what they're told, they do what everybody else does. So that just makes our job all the harder. Of course, the great advantage we have is that we're right.